Welcome back. Leave me alone, I'm busy farming. Okay, this is going to be our week 3 update. Today is Thursday. I'm going to start some seedlings today. So part of my weekly update, I'm going to show you how I'm going to start some seeds. And this is a new technique for me somewhat. It's going to be based on the pricking method. I'm going to be using vermiculite, perlite, and peat moss. And I'm going to fill a tray up, and then I'm going to do batches of seeds. And once they sprout, become a seedling, I'm going to prick them out. I'm going to use them 2 different ways. One way is going to be into the 2-inch soil blocks, and we'll talk more about that as I get into transplanting them. And the other way is going to be in my tower gardens. Phew, man, I tell you, we survived a hurricane that blew through yesterday and last night, and now it's just hot and humid. Anyway, I've filled up my tower, which is right next to the camera. You can't see it. I just filled it up with 20 gallons, so I'm going to let, now that came out of the tap, so off the hose bib from the water we get from the city. So there's probably some chlorine, fluoride, things of that nature. So tomorrow, as part of this weekly update, I'll show you how I mix up the grow solution there. I've started to mix up my peat moss right here, my vermiculite and perlite. So I'm doing equal ratio. So a cup of peat moss, so this will be the 3rd one. I'll put in a cup of the perlite. Now this is a horticultural grade, so again, that's 3 for that, and we'll get the perlite again for the horticulture. And this is right there. So I'll get this a mix, and I should have a mask on. You really don't want to breathe this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up this tray. Now, this is the solid bottom. So when I water it, it'll retain some water down in the bottom. This is the tray that I use for my soil blocks. So my hope is once I get it in and the water helps compact it and the seeds are in, I could pick this up if I want and change out any stagnant water that might be in here. Now, these are big holes. That might not work out. So that's part of the fun, right? We'll see if it works. So my intention is to fill this up, and then I'm going to run my different seeds along here. I have one of my plastic tags. I use a permanent marker, and we'll mark each grouping. And from there, as I said, I'll prick them out. So let me go ahead and fill this up, and we'll get some seeds down in just a minute. All right. Welcome back to Leave Me Alone. I'm busy sleeping. Look at that one over there, the Primo. He's living the dream. We'll start out with some broccoli rabe. Now, I have lots growing in my soil. So some of this will be used in the tower, and some will go back into replenishing what we're eating, because we are eating a lot. I'm just going to make a little bit of a line for me to mentally note the space I want to work in. So right in this area here is where I'm going to put my seeds, and I'm not going to put too many, but I'm just going to do it throughout this area here. These are really small seeds, so I'll put down maybe 20. Not counting, but I would guess somewhere about in there. I should get some water. I'll sprinkle a little bit of this mixture over once I'm done. So from here, I'll label what I have. I've got a bunch of these in my pocket, so I'd like to get another one out if possible. and I'll go ahead and label this up. I'm going to go ahead and continue that same process. I'll come back as I'm putting the top layer on, and we'll go ahead and water this in. Oh, I must have woken Primo up. Yeah, go back to sleep. Okay, once again, epic failure. The audio of the next step here, I had no audio. So let me go back and attempt to recap what I can't use. Broccoli rabe, butter crunch, lettuce, Swiss chard, another lettuce, arugula, escarole, sweet cherry tomatoes, and a butternut squash. I put them down. I took what was left and I lightly covered everything. And then I watered in the seeds. The rose head or rosebuds a little clogged, so I've got to work on that. I'll finish watering this in. From there, I'll put this lid on it. I'll bring it inside my house where I have a growing pad. It's like a heat pad. This sits on it. It's the exact size, the length and width of this bottom container, and we'll do a weekly update on how these seeds are germinating. Now, also today, I'm not going to film it, but I'm going to take this, I'm going to reuse a tomato, it's a pint container. I'm going to fill it up with this same solution, and I'm going to put some microgreens in here, and we'll see how well they do with this growing matter that I've mixed up. And so I'm going to do, I think I've got a microgreen of arugula, so I could split this in half and use half for a salad each night. And what I like about arugula is it's nice and peppery, so a little bit, almost even a quarter of this, adds a really nice flavor into your salad with dinner. So I'm going to fill this up with this matter here, and I'll sprinkle my microgreens on top, water it in, and I'll put the lid on it. I'm going to leave that out here. It will be in one of these trays, so when I water it, the water will stay in the bottom, but I'm going to grow the microgreens out here. Now, tomorrow we'll come back. So today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. We'll come back. We'll give you the 1 week update. It'll be week 3 update. So we'll take a look at how everything's growing inside as well as outside after the 3rd application of the compost tea. I'll put my 4th application down tomorrow. I also would like to tomorrow mix up my grow solution for my tower. Good morning. It's hard to believe. This is actually the 4th week since I've been brewing my compost tea. Today is Friday. It is November 13th, Friday the 13th. How do you like that? Didn't even realize that. So we had a little bit cooler evening. It's about 70 degrees in the greenhouse. It's 8:15 a.m. This morning we woke up, it was about 69 degrees outside, and it got a little cooler as the morning went on. Currently it's 65 degrees outside, but it's a beautiful sunny day. That's right, in Florida, zone 9B. So again, hard to believe we're doing a review of the 3rd application. So the progress we're going to see today is after 3 applications. So last Friday was the 3rd application. Today we're going to take a look at how it's coming along. I have another batch brewing here, so that's another chore I have to get done today. In a second, I'm going to grab the camera. We'll start outside. We'll do a quick review, again, just to kind of see where we're going, how things are looking. Remember, we had a hurricane come through, so we had some heavy rain. Let's see what effect that might have had on my vegetables. I did cover them with the row covers. I've uncovered them yesterday evening. And after we do a review of how the plants are doing inside the greenhouse, I'm going to quickly show you the ingredients for the tower garden and how I mix them up. And I'm actually going to harvest a sucker from a tomato plant, and I'm going to put it in a rock wool cube and show you how that's done. And I'll talk just for a minute or two about the configuration. So I've kind of backtracked a little bit. I'm going to go with the standard height, and I'm going to go with 2 towers. I'm going to start one this week. Next week, as we do a follow-up video on the seeds that I planted yesterday, I'll start to put them into the second tower. So I did state yesterday 1 tower is going to be for my tomato plants. All right, I'm gonna enjoy my cappuccino for just another minute, and then we'll head outside, okay? Here we go. Now, this is a broccoli rabe. I've been harvesting off this. Here's our thyme. Wow. Look at how good that's looking. There's one of my Roma tomato plants. There's the rosemary plant. This is the San Marzano. Again, I'm real happy with the leaves. I just trimmed them the day before yesterday. Look at how pretty those marigolds are doing. Just a beautiful color. Now we're getting into the Roma tomatoes. All right, so we're now, if you notice, if you look back, I'm going to step back just a minute here, and you're going to see that we're up to the bottom of the cattle wire. So we're getting nice growth. We're going to come over here and look at this rosemary. Look at that. Oh boy, how good. And sticky fingers, huh? Gotta love it. Here we are at the black Suriname cherry. I've been putting the compost tea here. It's loving it, and if I can get my bearings here, you see all that? Those are going to be black Suriname cherries. So I got this tree late fall last year. It was in my greenhouse, and then I put it into the soil out here. This is from Pete over at Green Dreams TV. Check out his YouTube channel. And it's Sand Hill Nursery in Spring Hill, Florida. Again, this sucker is loaded up. All right, here we go. Broccoli rabe. Now, you recall I talked about, in fact, here's an example. Some of these leaves actually got damaged from the storm, but here's one where we still have some nutrient issue there. But most of the leaves are like this. Now, I probably had 2 harvests off this past week. I'm going to be doing a YouTube video on a broccoli rabe sausage and a brown rice pasta, and that's for my nephew Camden. He's got a dietary needs that he can't have gluten, so that's going to be a video for him. Let me back up here. There's the kale. All right, so I'm going to start to harvest some of the kale and Swiss chard. It's nice when they're the baby leaves. Here we go over to the beets. Again, everything's looking good. I'll step back just a minute. So again, I'm very satisfied with the results. This is that purple basil. I actually got this from my son. I took a clipping and got it to root, and I was having some problems with it. And again, I'm going to attest the healthiness of the plant right now due to the compost tea. Boy, that smells good. This is Primo's in the greenhouse. He wants me to throw the ball. This is a Swiss chard plant, and it was struggling, and now it's coming on nice. This is a celery plant that it's basically the bottom of a store-bought celery. Now, finally, basil. Okay, and we'll come over here, and let me get in between the hoops. And whoops, I'm having a hard time here with these hoops. There's a basil plant, and sorry about this. There's the fennel. It's looking really good. And we'll give a quick pan here of how everything's doing in the food forest area. There's the longevity spinach. It's getting the compost tea as well as the katuk. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit here. I got to tie that up a little better. And cranberry hibiscus. Again, Everything's looking good. I've got some new blossom on my plum. There's the red Turk's cap. All right, let's head back inside the greenhouse. First stop, get a sip of the cappuccino. That's right. Look at that. You remember what it looked like a week ago? Now, I harvested last week some of the bigger leaves. Look at this one now. Again, this is in that, I think this is a 5-gallon grow bag. Look at that. I mean, beautiful, vibrant green. These are those, I believe, black cherry tomatoes. Sorry, I got to pick Primo up here, put him on the chair. These are, now I called them squash the other day. I tell you what, I can screw things up better than anybody. These are actually zucchini. Again, look at that. How's that? I mean, does it get any better? Coming into the first raised garden bed. This is broccoli rabe, so I've been pricking these out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in next week's video, but I've been thinning it out. So I've basically pricked it out of the left side and started to space them out a little bit more. We do have some fennel. Again, that was a direct sowed. I don't know that I'd do that again because look at the growth. Not a whole lot going on. We'll talk. Sorry about that. Lost my bike. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Here's the Roma tomato. You could see the height is about the same as outside, but outside they're a little bit, I would say, more hardy. Now, the radishes, the leaves are, I mean, they're really popping now in the color. And by the way, look at the mushrooms here. That's a good sign of healthy soil. These are the carrots, and I've put the broccoli rabe amongst the carrots. There's another Roma tomato. This is the broccoli rabe that I've been pricking, and I think I've got just about all that I need to pricked out. So that's a great technique if you have a soil that's very loose like I have here. If you have several plants growing in one area, you could pick out the smaller ones. If you can get the root with it, the feeder root and all, that's a perfect candidate to transplant elsewhere. Now, almost lost my mic again. There is the other raised bed. There's the fennel. And again, more of the broccoli rabe that's been pricked out. There's our beets, Swiss chard, that's right, fennel, Roma tomato, and another fennel plant. Real quick, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had some organic potatoes, and I've planted them. Each one of these grow bags, I have one to the back of the greenhouse, one in the front. I put 4 in each bag. So these are a honey baby gold potatoes, and I put them in here, what is that, November 1st it looks like. So we're starting to get some growth here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. This is also getting the compost tea. And there's the director, producer himself, Primo. What do you got to say to you? What are you telling everyone out there? You got compost tea? You got a greenhouse? You got a food forest? Do you grow organic vegetables? We do. Today I talked about doing some microgreens. So just a quick update there. It was cilantro that I had. I said it was arugula, but it was actually cilantro. Again, a lot of flavor profile in this, so a little goes a long way. And again, we'll add this to our salad. So this was started yesterday, November 12th. Today is the 13th. We'll have an update on this and see how it comes along, as well as the seeds I started yesterday. All right, we're back outside, and I want to get a let me find where I'm at here, a sucker to harvest. So right in here, okay, that's going to be what I take inside and put in the tower. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute. All right, hopefully we have a good camera angle here. We're going to talk real quick about what I'm going to do with this. This is smaller than I'd like, but again, I just wanted to get this on video so you get the concept of how we're harvesting the suckers. See what I've got to go through here just to film? Director's got to go back up in the director seat. Okay. Now, this is the sucker that I harvested. It's got a slight angle. I'm going to get rid of that right there. This is a rock wool cube. It has a hole right here. Generally, you have to open it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way through the bottom here. All right. And I'm going to take my sucker and I'm going to come down so I have something like that where some of the leaves are out and the bottom stem. Now ideally I'd like to have this another inch or two, and we're going to go ahead and put this in the tower. Now these are special clips that you can buy. You can either put this in a net pot, one of these, right? You put it in just like that. These are hard to get in and out. What I like to do is use this, and basically what you're going to do is come right in the bottom and push that in, and now this is going to clip into the tower. So I'll move my camera and we'll take a look at that. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I've taken out my extensions. When I have tomato plants or cucumbers, things that vine, the roots really tend to take over the bottom of these right here. So what happens is the roots will get bound, if you will, in here. So I don't want to overload this particular tower. So it's on a timer. It's set for 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. Because I want this to root, I'm going to go ahead and switch it to on. So it's going to run 24 hours straight. And once I get roots, then I can go back to the on again, off again. And that's the aeroponics, if you will. So this basically, and you want to make sure you got good water flow. And I'm going to go in the second tier because the roots are going to fill up here and they'll go down some more. So we're going to slip this right in, and we'll make sure. Let me center this. Okay, and it's getting water on it. So our updates will address this. Let me go ahead and set my timer from timer to on, and that's just, if you can see it. It's a double outlet timer. You can get these on Amazon. You can either go with a single outlet or double. The double will allow me to go over to the other tower. All right, give me a second and we'll get set up to put in our growing solution. Oh wow, it's heating up quick. I don't know why I got a long sleeve shirt on. All right, what I typically do is I've already filled this up. I've got 20 gallons of water. I'm going to try and balance this. So this is probably not the recommended technique. Let me take my hat off. I'm hot. All right, what do we have? We have 3 components, and it's key that you add and mix in the components in this order. I've got it's 48 grams of a water-soluble fertilizer. Okay, I'm going to add that in. Let me do it in the order here so I don't. Now, I've got a pump in the bottom. I have to be careful. But ideally what you want to do is thoroughly incorporate the water-soluble fertilizer. It incorporates fairly quickly, so this shouldn't take long. Now, part 2 is Epsom salt. Make sure you use a good quality Epsom salt. It's half the amount, so the ratio is 1/2 of the fertilizer. So 24 grams. Okay, 24 grams. Epsom salt. The director wants me to pick them up again. You gotta wait. All right, final ingredient. Calcium nitrate, 48 grams. Now, the base of this formula is off a 5-gallon ratio. So for the water-soluble fertilizer and calcium nitrate, it's 12 grams per 5 gallons. And for the Epsom salt, it's 6 grams per 5 gallons. So I've got 20 gallons here. Hold on, let me finish. Leave me alone, I'm busy farming. Now you know where it came from. There's a story behind that. One day I'll tell you. So while this is mixing up, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I showed you inside already, so when we come back in a week, we'll have an update on how the tower's doing, how the seeds are coming along, how the microgreens are coming along, and how the organic compost tea is working. So that'll be our 4th application. Now, I'll have to rinse that. I'm going to slide my tower back on very carefully. And that's it. So, as I get more appropriate sized suckers, whether it's from inside the greenhouse or outside, I'm going to add them here. I've got those sweetie tomatoes. They're a larger cherry tomato. I'll put some of those in here. Well, in just about 10 minutes or so, we're up 10 degrees. It's now 80 degrees and I'm overdressed here. Oh, look at this. Yeah, he's sitting right there. Let me fix this for 1 second here. I'm sorry. I pulled the mic off earlier when I was showing you the beds inside here. Now, this is, again, I'm having a lot of fun filming these weekly updates. I hope you're finding them helpful. As we start to move further along in these series episodes, right, Brock Hughes? You know what I'm talking about, brother, in beautiful British Columbia. That's a shout out to one of my mentors. Anyway, as we move forward, we're going to be focusing in on the compost tea, how the organic vegetables are growing along, the seeds starting. We'll have updates on how that growing medium is working, and we'll see how it works with the microgreens. I've got to get back into that. For a while we were doing microgreens. What I do is I start a batch and then a few days later I start another, because they go quick, and I do small batches. So we'll do some updates there, and we'll all hopefully see what's working on this journey. So thank you once again for tuning in and watching to the end of this video. I know they're getting a little long, but there's a lot of stuff to cover here, and I'm just scratching the surface of what's really going on here. So thanks again for watching. Remember, leave me alone, because I'm busy farming and having the time of my life, living the dream. All right, we'll see you next week back here at the greenhouse. Here's what I got to put up with all day long. Primo.